All right, everyone, welcome into the OG studio, and I haven't given this thing enough airplay, so I think it's about time we start talking about this more specifically, and it's the OG vacuum solution. It is, I think it's one of the best things we've ever come up with, man. If you haven't bought this thing yet, I don't care what you got. Just punt what you got, sell it on OG Marketplace or put it somewhere. You want some iteration of this in your garage. I hate doing interiors. I'm going to clean Bryce's 3 Series here, and this I found has made it a much more pleasant experience. So I'm going to show you all the different accessories. I'm going to show you the operation of the machine. We're going to clean up Bryce's car here, get it all dialed in, and talk through the vacuum system in general and some different options and things like that. But I couldn't be more pleased with how it looks, how it came out, and how it functions. It's pretty fantastic. So the different accessories that we have as part of the package, I don't use most of these. Most of the time I'm not using them, but we have what I think is the current best available grouping of accessories for the vacuum. I forget the various different brands we've gone through, but like Flex Spice from, I don't remember the name of the company, but they buy some of their accessories, which we kind of liked. The other issue is getting these to fit on the hose properly and dealing with all the different types of sizes, and so we've gotten this worked out. So as of right now, this is the best that I found available. It's kind of like when we were selling quick disconnects in the beginning, there were only like a certain number of stainless ones, and they were only the Chinese made from General Pump and MTM, and then we would have to use brass fittings to fill in and then do some adapters. And now today, fast forward, we have the exact fittings we need and the exact same thread pitch and the exact correct depth, and we can reduce all different kinds of fittings that we had to use in the beginning. We don't need anymore. I think same thing in vacuum. As we develop this further, we have a lot of drawings and a lot of ideas of what we want to make for different tools, but for the time being, we kept postponing. We finally launched this thing because we got to work with what we got. Let's find the best of what's available, and then let's continue to improve over time. And we have several companies we're working with to start working on improving this stuff. So the ones that I use most often are these ones here. So we played with different designs of our little whatever you call it, crevice tool, and so we play with different versions of this, different sizes of this to figure out which one works best, and this is the size that Bryce and Tommy had come up with, so we custom ordered these using the crevice tool often. The most used tool is the normal carpet brush tool. The only thing I don't love about this, I'll show you when we're using it, you can remove or slide off the bristles, but the only thing I don't like about this is sometimes as I'm scrubbing, this will kind of tend to pull to the side, which drives me kind of nuts. But for now, this is the best brush or carpet tool we found. And then there's several different versions of this. This is the softest bristled version of a vent tool. So we're using this to clean vents and center consoles and stuff like that. And then we had this one made, but this is our other soft brush tool for cleaning up various sections of the interior. And then when we're doing things like floors, we have the telescoping wand, which is aluminum, super lightweight, and then this flat type surface tool is great for Swiss tracks. I'll show you this before we finish up the video as a little footnote or a little side for cleaning the floor. And then if you like a angled handle, this is also nice to have. This is another way that we can, kind of connect to our, like if you prefer to have a handle on it. Most of the time I find myself just using the hose and the tool rather than the handle. We also have this little guy I'm going to show you. This is great for this little Turbo Bro. This is great for doing like trunks and stuff where you have that real coarse carpeting. So we'll show you this little turbo guy. This is made in Germany, a nice little tool. And then we have for the deeper areas near the near the seats where it gets tight, especially on GT3s and stuff. We have the swiveling or the flexible tipped version. So let's get into the vacuum a little bit real quickly, and then I'll shut up and we'll start cleaning stuff and talk through it. So this exact setup we're using is about $1,300. We'll put a link in the description, where we do black Cox hose reel, a custom hose. So this is our own hose that we've sourced, the cuff or the threaded cuff, swivel cuff, and then the adapter to work with all their accessories. It comes with the unit, which is made by Modern Day for us. This is not an off-the-shelf unit. This is a bespoke unit that we've designed with Modern Day. Then it comes with the piping you need. It comes with a muffler. I'll explain how our muffler's set up here, that you don't need to do, by the way. And like I said, all the accessories, and then it comes with a bag. These are bagged canister vacuums, and canister vacuums are all pretty similarly designed. I found that what it comes down to is the combination of the packing or the silencing that we do inside of it, and then the motor. But the bag system, people get real bent out of shape about. Like in my house, I have it in my attic, or this is kind of tall to see. I'm telling you, in our garage, you're gonna replace the bag like once a year, unless you're just cleaning out some serious filth. So, but it's a paper bag. It's not a wet vac, so this is not for wet vacuuming. I have a flex vacuum that I use for that. So keep that in mind. This is for vacuuming out the interior of your car. Now, we did a few custom things here that you may or may not want to do. The black, they don't make black piping, and so we painted the piping black. It comes in white PVC. The other custom thing we did here, which I wouldn't recommend, it's kind of a waste of time, but this is the exhaust. And the unit comes with a muffler, and the muffler we normally turn, up here to the right, or turn upward next to the unit. You can do it on you can have your inlet on either side, but the exhaust section here has a muffler that silences it. And I wanted to try, hey, let's put the muffler on the outside, so we cut a hole in the wall. It made like maybe a half a dB difference, so it's not worth you cutting into your block and trying to run that. I just wanted to test it and see how it worked. The other custom thing we did here is we added a switch, so we have an on-off switch on the wall here, but there is an on-off switch right on the side of the unit. So I had Mike wire in an on-off switch for our outlet. We did a black outlet cover, and I had him painted the piping, or the MC. The conduit, I had them paint that black, so everything kind of matched the same theme. The sticker is easily removable. Actually, I think the unit comes with the sticker not on it, because some people may not want the sticker on it. Like in Helen, I have it all debadged, so I didn't want the sticker put on it. But we do have this really cool matte vinyl, that the same stuff we use on our bucket vinyl that goes on the unit. So the top up here is where the bag is. The bag's up in the top. The motor is down here in the bottom. And we had 3 or 4 or 5 different iterations of this. Where this comes from Modern Day. They were using this version of a canister vac in pet grooming. There was a pet grooming business that was buying these, and then we modified it from there. And we tested several different motors. The conventional best motor for a central vac is what do they call it? A tangential bypass. It's this big, giant, heavy unit. I have a couple of them up there. We made a version of it. It operated at around 90, 95 decibels, really, really loud, much, much louder than like a Krenzel pressure washer, an AR pressure washer. That is the superior type of motor to use for this application, especially in a commercial environment. If you're running your whole house or your whole factory or something like that, that is the motor of choice, but it's extremely loud, extremely obnoxious. The other type of motor is called a through flow, and then there's a third type that I don't think really many manufacturers use. But the through flow type is the type of motor we have in here. And just to simplify it, basically, the main difference between the two is that the suction blows by the motor, which keeps the electric motor cool. whereas the tangential bypass has a separate inlet outlet, so it's like a separate exhaust section. So technically these don't last as long. They don't have the same, 8, 10, 12, 15 year lifespan. They only have a 6 or 8 year lifespan. But for what we're doing in our garage and the gain we actually get a little bit less flow, but a little bit more suction. So we get a little bit higher suction spec, and we get a much, much quieter machine. This sucker operates, if I take this out of the equation, I put this outside here. So if we take the suction out of the equation, I can stand here and have a conversation with you. We're operating at somewhere around 58, 59 decibels, depending on what your garage situation looks like. Most of the sound is coming from the suction of your hose right here. And it is gnarly. It is really, really good. So I made this choice to say, in a perfect world, I think that you would probably want to do the tangential bypass, but they're just so much louder. And the amount of work and how we're going to be using this, and then the quality of through-flow motor that we chose on this, I think the motor has an 8-year warranty or something crazy like that. So even though we're using this type of bypass or through-flow version, this I think is the superior version of a motor for cleaning and vacuuming cars in your garage. Super, super quiet. You could be vacuuming your car at 6 a.m. and you're not going to wake up the house. So anyway, the hose system here is, we found that I wanted a little bit thinner hose on the version that we have at my house. I'll make a separate video on that in the future. I've made a couple, but I'll make another video where we put this up in the attic, and then we did the hose system. The hose system is only like $100 more than doing this because the Cox hose reel is pretty expensive. But we were selling these with a Cox hose, a Cox sourced hose, and we didn't like it. It wasn't performing as well as we'd like, and cost. I think their hose was like $300, and so we were able to cut quite a bit of cost out of it by sourcing our own hose in bulk. And we wanted an 1.5 inch, but we ended up using. Actually, I think this is what we call 1.5 inch ID. But if we go too narrow on the hose, you get a real resonant, like a whistling. And so we tested 6 or 8 different types of hoses, and this one is what sounds the best, suctions the best. We get the best water lift specs. We get the best CFM or flow specs, and we find that we get the best performance with this hose. Even though it's a little bit bigger than I would like, it's super pliable, super functional, looks great in gray, and then we don't get that whistling that we're talking about. So generally, when I'm going to use this, there's a drag on the side here. Well, it's kind of lighten up the drag. And I'll pull out the hose all the way to the other end of the garage just so I have it out and available. So let me grab some accessories and let's clean up Bryce's car for him. This aside here, and I like to do is just take all my accessories. I normally don't get all of these out. I'll usually look at the car and know which one I need, but for the purpose of our video here, just bear with me. Turn my vacuum on. The vacuum's cooled really well, so you can just let this thing run all day, so I don't have to worry about turning it on and off. We looked at all different kind of options, and I'm not 100% against it, but we looked at different options for like a little remote frequency on-off switch for the end of our hose, but I found that it added too much bulk, and I didn't like how it worked, and so for now, I kind of like the way we've been doing it. So generally, we take our mats out. Throw it on the ground next to the car here. Shoot, half the darn time I end up just using the little adapter piece, but on this particular car, I would grab our crevice tool. So this one, we've experimented with different lengths. Because of how much water lift and suction we have on this thing, it does get pretty loud. A little louder than I would like, but I'd rather have the performance. I always use this tool to clean the vents and stuff like that. Let's get in between the seats here. So another thing we experimented with a lot was a sock, and all the ones that exist are junk. They fall off, they bunch up, they get gross, it doesn't work. And so at some point we're gonna develop some sort of sock, so when you're, when you're working on your trunk, or when the car, when you're dragging the hose in and out of the car, it does a better job at protecting the surface. But for now, this is what we got. Bryce is gonna be so happy. His car all cleaned up. We spent quite a good bit of time on this, because what tends to happen on most of these is they tend to eat themselves. And so we played with the bristles to make sure that they would be soft and pliable, but not suction in on itself. The violence of that is pretty gnarly. It really does well. I hate doing this, by the way. Really hate it. I'm telling you, man, this thing is, it's no joke. And it's so, I can't even hear the vacuum. It's so quiet. I'm so pleased with this. I didn't think we could pull this off, but Grant was such a huge help with Modern Day and helping us figure this out. I'm just really, really pumped at how this thing, I think it looks great. I think it functions great. It's made me, especially in my garage at home with the Haida hose, it's made me really enjoy as much as I can cleaning an interior. Okay, so let's do the carpet here. I'll put it back in. This is where this little turbo bro comes in. Listen to that. About this. I haven't really done much of this, but do I have to clean this whole car? I'm like using the regular old. I feel like these bristles help to, because you get a lot more suction without it, but I feel like it's better to not do this. So this turbo thing is cool. I don't use it often. Sometimes, like I'll use it in the trunk a lot when the trunk feels like it needs a little help. Telling you, when we got the tangential, they were so much louder, and we actually got a lot less usable suction. Bryce is driving around with his cats in the car. Is that what he's doing? I don't like goofy lines in my carpet, so I don't do that. Let's see what this trunk looks like. All right. That's about 95% more than I was planning on doing. One of the things I like to do when I'm around, see, because we have Swiss tracks, and we have the Swiss track static, and then you have a hose static. So I like to put this on the hose, and when I'm winding it up, I kind of like to clean the hose. Beautiful. Set the drag. Pretty freaking awesome, if you ask me. Clean car. But the best part for me, like when I take my flex vacuum, I have to try to wind it all back up. It's annoying as crap. So I get to put that thing away in like 10 seconds. And then imagine if you had the hide-a-hose system where it sucks it back up into the wall. Normally I don't get all my accessories out, so they're just in my cabinet. The goal long term would be to have some sort of like accessory holster where everything snaps in place, quick disconnects on, but you know, step one of where we're at is pretty darn good. And I think as these accessories are not a lot of money, it's maybe like $100 or something like that. So as we come out with new stuff in the future, you're not going to be so heavily invested that you feel like an idiot. So I think in its current form, to buy our vacuum system in its current setup, it's really pretty simple, pretty basic, but it's so much different than anything else I've gotten my hands on. We're going to buy 30 or 40 vacuums that exist, do some testing, do some comparative stuff. There is, even in our testing, we found that, okay, we could get a little bit more water lift, but then they would gain, 2 or 3 times the volume of noise, and we kind of went back and forth with different trade-offs and then found the best version that we like. Our friends at Modern Day kept making us different options and sending them to us. I have one of them up there. That one's like the super-powered one, supercharged, but it's like almost 100 decibels. And we found that, yes, it had more CFM, it had less water lift, but it had less or equal real-world suction while you're in the car working, like when you just felt like when you're cleaning the carpet, and it was 5 times louder. So I think what we have is the best version. I thought we would probably make like a supercharged version at some point. I just don't know if it's necessary. This could work in commercial, could work in residential, could work in any environment. So anyway, thanks for watching. Go to obsessedgarage.com. More on vacuum stuff in the future. Put links in the description if you want to order it. We have them in stock, ready to roll. We have more rolling in all the time. Hit us up, and we'd love to help you if you have questions. If you want us to do a little bit of a custom setup outside of what we've set up in our normal packages, email support@obsessedgarage.com. They know this stuff pretty well. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one.